Labour have doubled down their support for 16 and 17-year-olds having the right to vote. Now, these policies were in the 2015, 2017 and 2019 manifestos. Now, this seemingly uncontroversial policy has been met with a fair bit of opposition. Deputy political editor of GB News Tom Harwood tweeted this. Labour voted for a law to ban 16 and 17-year-olds from going on naughty websites, but want to lower the voting age to 16. Make it make sense. Alex Armstrong, commentator on Talk TV, BBC and GB News, says, I campaigned for votes at 16 when I was 16. I deeply regret it. I understood nothing about the country, the world or politics, and guess what? I supported Labour. This policy is just vote rigging. Now, the main opposition to this policy is the idea that 16 and 17-year-olds are too naive to vote. And Callum, first of all, I want to get your response to that. And also, this is actually an example that there is clear water between the Tories, who want national service for 18-year-olds, and Labour, who want younger people more involved into the political process. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, just firstly, in terms of the Tom Harwood tweet, I think Jess Phillip responded to it, and I've not got the tweet in front of me, but she basically said that what one of those things is about safety and protecting young people. And I think trying to make the comparisons, young people having access to quote unquote naughty websites and giving them the right to vote is a little bit disingenuous. I think, young people today, from what I've seen, are actually quite politically engaged. There's a lot of people that they follow politics, they watch what's going on, they want to be able to be involved. And I think the juxtaposition between this story and the last is laughable. On the one hand, you've got the Conservative government saying, conscription, essentially, national service, join the army at 18 and we'll get discipline into you. And on the other hand, we've got Keir Starmer and the Labour Party saying we're going to give 16 and 17-year-old the right to vote and an opportunity to take part in democracy. And it's interesting, isn't it, how the Conservatives think that there's nothing, they see nothing wrong with gearing up 18-year-olds and sending them straight off to serve in the army. But at 16 and 17, when you can join the army, you can't serve in war, but you can actually join our armed forces from 16. Apparently, that doesn't give you the right to vote. It's another one of those, nonsensical arguments. But from Labour's perspective, I do think it's great. They've been talking about this for a while. It will be nice to see it enacted. Obviously, 16-year-olds have got the vote in Scotland now for Scottish elections. And it doesn't seem to have done them any harm. I think there's a concern, though, from those on the right that by giving the vote to, another good few million young people, that's going to skew the elections that we have in the future in a particular direction, more towards the left. I've already seen articles in the last couple of days essentially trying to call it election rigging.
Well, I mean, which is preposterous, because the idea that you're expanding democracy is rigging. Whereas, I mean, I think it's such an easy attack line to bat away, because if I was Keir Starmer or in his comms team, I would say, well, actually keeping it at 18 is vote rigging, because it's better for the Conservatives. We think more people should be involved in the political process. And if it means they vote Labour, it means they vote Labour. That means because we're offering them something. But I wanted to ask you that juxtaposition, because many of us on the left, including me, are big critics of the current Labour Party. And I feel like on their social and economic policy, they're far too similar to the Tories. But this policy is a big difference. And also it mirrors the Tory policy perfectly, because the Tories want to say, we're going to send you off and do national service. And Labour can come back and say, well, why should they do that when 16-year-olds can already join the army? They're paying taxes, but they didn't get to say in their future. So I think that this is actually this has come at a perfect time for Labour.
And I think it's very clear to the electorate, what the difference is here when it comes to which party is the party for young people. We've got a party in government who have been in charge for 14 years, if you include the coalition, who tripled tuition fees for young people, who removed young people's right to work and travel free in 27 other countries across the European Union, who have damaged the economy so much so that the majority of even our generation and those below us are currently looking to potentially never be able to afford to even own their own home. And to put, the cherry on top of the cake, we've got a general election campaign that's just kicked off, and Rishi Sunak's like, "Yeah, we'll send off to fight and to get involved in the army and give up all of your time." And actually, Labour are offering, that Labour is saying to people, actually, I think we've seen the way that the government have pushed you to one side over the last 14 years. We've seen how badly impacted you've been by our politics, and we think it's right that you have a say in the future of that politics. And yeah, it's a great scheme. It's certainly something I can get behind, and I think we've got to give Labour the due with that one. It's
Mm.
it's a good policy.